Hello, friends and family. This is my mare, and this is Chance. Chance is grandson number 2 in the line. And what are we doing today, Chance?
We're reading your grandmother's book.
Right, and we're going to be on
Chapter 1, the pre-19s.
90s.
90s.
Okay. Here we go. Whoops. Helps if you turn to the right page. And I'll try not to spit on your arm. Okay. An autobiography begins with one's birth. I was the 6th child in a family of 7. I was fortunate to have older sisters and brothers to steer me along life's path with love and affection. Before I write about myself, I will go back a little further and write about my mother and father who brought me into this world. I owe them what I am. Their life story is an introduction to my story. So they come first, and they and all the forebears going back 3 generations to my mother's family history to Dominique Coco of Venice, Italy. Did you know we had Italian ancestors?
No.
That weren't Grampy's side?
Mm-mm. I did not.
Okay, we're trying to get situated here.
You want to like this?
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
And 6 or more generations of my family's father to Daniel Fields of Armagh, Ireland. We went there together 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
If we'd have known that, we could have visited Armagh, Ireland and seen where our ancestor Daniel Fields came from. And Pierre Geoffrion of Comte-Poitou, France. The history of the Coco family. Dominique Baldonide Coco, Sr. from Venice, Italy, came to America with General Lafitte and his army to fight in the American Revolution in or about 1776. He was of Austrian, German, and Italian extraction. Following the war, he made his way into what is now the state of Arkansas, where he was captured by the Indians. Scary. He escaped and went to Point Cope Parish in Louisiana, where he married a Miss Rabelais. He operated a floating store on the Mississippi River near New Roads and traded with the Indians and the early settlers. One story goes that the Indians could not pronounce the name Baldonide. I have a little trouble myself. And they referred to him as L'Homme de Coco, which means man of coconuts. The Indians relished them. Thereby, the name Coco was supposed to have become the family name in place of Baldonide. However, after a good deal of research by Jules A. Coco and Edgar A. Coco, Jr., the story about the name being originally Baldonide was more or less disproved, and the name Coco established as the original name, this being a name occurring rather than prominently in Italy. From Dominique Sr.'s marriage with Miss Rabelais, he had 2 sons, namely Dominique Coco Jr. and Joseph Coco. There's no information available as to where Dominique Coco Sr. died. However, it is presumed he died in Point Cope Parish, Louisiana. Joseph Coco, the son of Dominique Coco Sr., is supposed to have gone on a boat trip to New Orleans to purchase merchandise for his father, from which trip he never returned. It is being presumed that he was captured and killed by the Indians. He never had married, so he left no heirs. Dominique Coco Jr., I'm assuming he's our ancestor, since he's the only one left. Dominique Coco Jr., who was the sole surviving heir of Dominique Coco Sr., and from whom the Coco family branch branches out is the ancestor we are interested in. Boy, aren't we?
We are.
We are interested. We will start with him. The story goes that the Indians from the Avoyelles Parish made frequent trips to Point Coupe Parish and traded with Dominic Coco Sr. They persuaded Dominic Coco Jr. to move to Avoyelles Parish, as they stated that it was not subject to overflow. I think that must mean the river, huh? Overflow?
Mm-hmm.
He took their advice and he moved to what is now Hydropolis or Cocoville. It is 1 mile south of Marksville, Louisiana, on the spot in which is presently the Robert Neitzel family home, formerly the Philip C. Neck Place. He established a flourishing mercantile business there. He married a Miss Zoe Juneau, and they had 6 children. Then she died. Next he married Caroline Bordelon, from which the union 7 children were born. How many is that?
What do you mean? 13?
13 kids. Go Dominic Coco Jr. The 5th one was Bienvenu, the father of my mother, at the time, Emmylou Coco. Dominic Coco Jr. married a 3rd time with his wife, Maya Lazy Ladeau Sheldon, and he had 1 son. So he had 14 kids altogether. And we came from the 5th of the 2nd marriage.
The 11th.
Yeah, so the 11th one. Dominic Coco Jr. died in the year 1866. He is buried in Mansura Catholic Cemetery, where his tomb is easily discernible.
You think that's still true?
Yeah,
You think it's easily discernible?
I think so. I think we could go there and find him. It is of important gray marble, well preserved. So,
Well, it's been about 160
so we'll read here.
years.
What time is it?
We're at 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, we're good. We're going to go one more section. Dominic Coco Jr.'s home. Avoyelles Parish had its brick colonial homes. One of these brick homes was owned by Dominic Coco Jr. It was near Marksville, 2 miles off the Marksville-Mansura Highway. The bricks were made by means of a horse lever. The clay was placed in a box-like container. The machinery for stirring the clay was attached to the lever in such a manner that the horse pulling the lever would stir the clay to the right consistency. Afterward, the clay was placed into molds to dry. The process was a slow one. A granddaughter of Dominic Coco Jr. remembers his colonial brick house having a living room upstairs and a living room downstairs. The house was dismantled in 1900. Dominic was a most affluent man. He was stately and dignified. At his death in 1866, he was worth $500,000, a very large sum in the 1860s. That's a large sum today.
Yeah.
To me, it is.
No, like just in general.
Yeah,
That's like
that's
20
$500,000.
million. I think it's like 20 million now.
Oh my gosh!
Around that.
Wow. He left his 6 children a good inheritance. His son, Bienvenu, was my mother's father. Like his father, he was a wealthy man. Dominic Coco Jr. was the first planter in Avoyelles Parish to make sugar. He had a sugar mill near Moreauville. The sugar mill was located in the interior and not on the Bayou de Glace. This was in the year 1840. A story concocted with Dominic Coco Jr. is frequently told in the parish. He is known to have buried an enormous amount of gold and silver in cans under a pecan tree for safekeeping. After his death in 1866, someone dug up the money and left the parish. to settle in a different section of the country. I have recollection of my mother reciting to me this story. Okay, well, what do you think?
Pretty interesting. He was very rich.
He was
Rich
rich.
guy.
We had some rich people back then, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were like store owners, mercantile traders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made a sugar mill.
Huh?
He made a sugar mill.
He made a sugar mill. Well, thank you, Chance, for being here for this reading. It makes it a little easier for me because I feel like I have someone that I'm really reading to, not just to a video. So until next time, everybody have a great day. Love you. Love you, Chance.
Bye-bye, everyone.